Starting it off at number 30, we have Austin Hedges of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, this position will eventually go to Henry Davis, but as of right now, the starting catcher is Austin Hedges, who we all know as a great defensive catcher. He does a great job with framing. However, his offense is absolutely abysmal, which is why he's dead last. He is a 461 OPS at the time of recording, and it's not looking like that's going to go up anytime soon. At number 29, we have Martin Maldonado of the Houston Astros, who similarly to Hedges is a great defensive catcher, but not so great on the offensive side of the ball. Great pitch framer, cannot hit to save his life. Now, part of that is he is a lot older these days. He's rocking about a 530 OPS going into today. However, he is a leader on that Houston Astros team, which is why he gets the slight nod over Austin Hedges. Number 28, I have Nick Fortes of the Miami Marlins, who had his up and downs to start the year, but it's seemed more down than up lately as he is rocking a 568 OPS on the season. Now, he is also another guy who is good defensively, maybe not as good as the other guys, or at least doesn't have the same track record. However, his offense is still pretty bad, and that's why he ranks so low. At number 27, and this one might be a little controversial, but I have Matt Thaiss of the Los Angeles Angels, who is actually having a very good year offensively for the Angels. However, I'm just not officially bought into it yet. If he continues at this rate, I will definitely eat my words. I just don't know. He's a 28-year-old who's just now kind of having the success, so I root for him, but I don't expect it to last. At number 26, I have Connor Wong of the Boston Red Sox, who is having a pretty average year offensively as far as catchers go. However, on the defensive side of the ball, his pitch framing ranks towards the bottom of the league, which is why I have him pretty low on this list, despite being a little bit better offensively than maybe some of the guys ahead of him. At number 25, I have Bo Naylor of the Cleveland Guardians, recently taking over for Mike Zunino, who was DFA'd. Bo Naylor has been off to a little bit of a rough start, offensively anyways. Defensively, he's looked really great. He's got a great arm behind the plate. The reason I have him higher than the guys below here is because his ceiling is significantly higher than those guys, and I do think it won't take long for him to figure it out offensively. At number 24, we have a guy who's starting to have a little resurgence to his career in Gary Sanchez of the San Diego Padres. Gary's been pretty great this year so far since being picked up by the Padres. Had a bit of trouble staying with the team before then, but ever since joining the Padres, he has been absolutely dominant. He already has 7 home runs on the season in a very short time span, and he's been pretty good defensively for them. So he's been a great pickup. That's why he's here at 24. At number 23, we have Jose Trevino of the New York Yankees, who I'm giving a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here too, because he has had a down year offensively, at least in comparison to last year. The reason I'm giving him this benefit is because of how good he was last year. He's still a great defensive catcher, so that hasn't changed, but the offense needs to improve, otherwise he will drop even further on this list. At number 22, I have Christian Vazquez of the Minnesota Twins, who, since coming to the Twins, really just has not been the same player. His offensive numbers have just dropped significantly. He has only 1 home run on the season. His average is down. His OPS is below 600. Defensively, he's still very solid, but if his offense does not improve soon, he will continue to drop on this list even further. At number 21, I have Tyler Stephenson of the Cincinnati Reds, who has always been a pretty consistent offensive catcher, always put up decent numbers. Right now, he's rocking an above 700 OPS, which is great. Defensively, though, he's lacking a little bit this season. His framing is bad. His pop time has not been very impressive. It's just not the same defensive catcher that I think everybody was kind of expecting from him. However, I think he will figure it out. At number 20, I have Shea Langoliers of the Oakland Athletics, who has been pretty solid this year. He has 10 home runs. He's hitting just below 700 on the OPS mark, but he has still been very solid offensively for a catcher, and defensively, he's still pretty solid as well, although his framing's a little on the lower side. But an underrated part of his game is that he is very fast. He is top 15% in sprint speed at the moment. I do see a good future for him. At number 19, I have Christian Bethancourt of the Tampa Bay Rays, who I think you could make an argument could be higher or lower on this list. He's a guy that is pretty much average to above average at pretty much every aspect, where he's a average to good defensive catcher and an average to good hitting catcher. And I think that has value, and it definitely is a reason the Rays keep him around. So I have him here at 19. At number 18, I have Yan Gomes of the Chicago Cubs, who currently has 8 home runs with a 732 OPS on the year, very quietly being one of the best hitting catchers in the league this year. Even though his defense hasn't been entirely amazing as far as what the Savant page would show, I do think he calls a really good game, and I do think that increases his value quite a bit on that side of the ball. At number 17, I have a catcher that has kind of had a fall from grace in Yasmani Grandal of the Chicago White Sox, who a few years ago would have been number 1 or 2 on this list, but right now, as of this year and the last year, he's pretty much just been an average catcher. Below average last year, actually, but this year he's pretty much just been average. Not too crazy good of a hitter, not too crazy defensively, just an average player. At number 16, I have a catcher who I believe has a very bright future in Gabriel Moreno of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who already is hitting for a pretty good average for a catcher in the 270s. And though his power numbers are down, which definitely brings his OPS down below 700, he only has 2 on the year. He's a pretty solid defensive catcher as well. Great pop time. I do think he has a very bright future ahead of him, and those numbers will only increase as time goes on. At number 15, I have Willson Contreras of the St. Louis Cardinals, who would usually easily be in the top 10 just based on his offense alone. But this year, his offense has been a little bit worse than in the past, and he's been so bad defensively that the St. Louis Cardinals have had to try and figure out if he's going to stay at catcher or move to a different position. It's been a bit of a mess. I do think he's still a good player, and he's got time to figure it out on offense this year. At number 14, I have one of my favorite young catchers in the league in Keibert Ruiz of the Washington Nationals. Now, Keibert Ruiz is a guy who his numbers won't wow you offensively, and yet I do think he is improving year after year to the point where soon enough he will be one of the best catchers in baseball, and that contract that he signed with the Nationals will look real good. He's been very solid this year, 9 home runs. He's going to keep it up. I guarantee it. At number 13, I have Salvador Perez of the Kansas City Royals, who, over the last couple decades, he's probably been one of the best hitting catchers in all of baseball in that time frame. And he continues to rake, even in his old age here in 2023. He has 15 home runs before the All-Star break, and I don't think he's going to slow down at all. His defense is still atrocious, but when you hit like that, it doesn't really matter. At number 12, I have Alejandro Kirk of the Toronto Blue Jays, who we all know as a great defensive catcher. And last year, he was a fantastic offensive catcher. But this year, his offense has been a little bit down. He's still a pretty good player. He's still hitting the ball pretty well in comparison to maybe what you expect from a catcher, but not quite to his standards. I think he will pick it up later in the season. At number 11, I have Elias Diaz of the Colorado Rockies, who got off to a ridiculously hot start this year offensively as a catcher. And though he has slowed down at least a little bit, he's still got really great numbers on offense. And defensively, he's no slouch either. That's why I have him just outside the top 10 here. He is over 30, so I don't know how much better he can get at this point, but he has been very impressive this season. At number 10, I have Patrick Bailey of the San Francisco Giants, a rookie who kind of felt like he came out of nowhere and is absolutely exploding onto the scene. He was one of the best defensive catching prospects coming up, but his offense has really shined through. As a switch-hitting catcher, he has a near 850 OPS and over 100 bats in the majors, which is really impressive, and I'm excited to see what his future looks like. At number 9, we have the big dumper himself, Cal Raleigh of the Seattle Mariners. Now, Cal Raleigh kind of came onto the scene last year and just absolutely took the league by storm with his power numbers. And this year, he is maybe not on the same pace as he was, but he's still hitting pretty well while being a great defensive catcher. And I think he's helping a Mariners team really trying to get in the playoffs this year. At number 8, I have Willson Contreras of the Milwaukee Brewers, brother of Willson Contreras. And I would argue that Willson Contreras is better on both sides of the ball than his older brother right now. On defense, Contreras still isn't incredible by any means, but offensively, he carries so much weight that it really doesn't matter. He has been a phenomenal hitter for the last couple of years, and it's been really fun to watch. I'm sure the Brewers are glad to have him. At number 7 is a name you might be surprised to see on here this high, and that is Jake Rogers of the Detroit Tigers. Rogers has been very solid this year on both offense and defense. On defense, he's one of the best pitch framers of baseball, and his pop time is up there with the best. On offense, he's posting a 750 OPS with 11 home runs before the All-Star break. Keep an eye on Jake Rogers in the second half, as he might surprise some people. At number 6, I have the rookie, Francisco Alvarez from the New York Mets, who has been better defensively than I think most people anticipated, but offensively, he is sure living up to the hype as the number 1 prospect. He is hitting bombs. He is crushing baseballs. He currently has 16 home runs as I'm making this video, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. At number 5, I have a guy that has been playing out of his mind this season, and that would be Jonah Heim of the Texas Rangers. You can make an argument that Heim could be even higher on this list, but as of right now, I'm going to keep him at 5. He has an above 800 OPS currently as it stands, with 12 home runs, while still being one of the best pitch framers in all of baseball. Jonah Heim is an absolute stud and deserves all the praise he gets. At number 4, I have a guy that a lot of people might consider to be the best catcher in baseball, and that would be JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies. I have him at 4, and that's not a knock on him, but rather an indication of just how good the talent at catcher is becoming. Realmuto, just like any other year, is putting up good performance. He has above 750 OPS and is still amazing on defense while being an incredible athlete. At number 3, I have Adley Rutschman of the Baltimore Orioles. A guy that very soon could be the number 1 catcher in all of baseball, but as of right now, I have him at 3. And the reason for that is the guys above him are just playing a little bit better this year. However, Adley is an absolute stud behind the plate, and on offense, he's a switch-hitting catcher that's hitting about 800 OPS currently. He is just an absolute stud, and I can't wait to watch him for years to come. At number 2, I have Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, ever since getting to the majors, has been an absolute monster at the plate, and he has not slowed down. In fact, he's only gotten better and better as the years go on. And right now, he has a near 900 OPS with 12 home runs on the year, while also being much better defensively than he's ever been in his career before. Watch out, because he is going to terrorize this league for quite some time. And last but not least, the best catcher in baseball right now is Sean Murphy of the Atlanta Braves, and it isn't particularly close. As of right now, Sean Murphy is potentially the best catcher defensively in all of baseball, but offensively too, he has a 977 OPS with 15 home runs before the All-Star break. Ever since coming to the Braves, he has unlocked a new level of his game, and it is so exciting to watch, and it might be hard to dethrone him in the future.